Dear students, today as part of our paper Consumer Awareness, we are going to discuss a field called consumer education. So, consumer education is a kind of education that can be found or spreadingly found in several fields, including economics, game theory, which is part of political science, information theory, that forms part of computer science and information technology, law, mathematics, and psychology. These fields they tried to understand the behavior of the consumers, and they were not able to arrive at a particular conclusion on why consumers they buy a particular product and why they avoid buying some other product. One gross conclusion to which they arrived is that the consumers are not educated, not well informed, impulsive, hardly critical, and when behavior of other people is influencing them, they buy particular products. So, in these cases that have been outlined above, the consumer does not make the decision on his own. He is either going by impulse or he is trying to be influenced by other people buying the product, or he is also making judgment based on the color, the appearance, etc. So, people who specialized on consumer education, they decided that a training should be given to people to decide on what product has to be bought and whether the product is essential for them or not also. So, how this is possible? So, this is possible only through students like you, and therefore the government it thought of training the teachers and also attempted to include consumer related subjects as part of its curriculum of the education at the bottom level to the higher level, and therefore a clear education is being delivered to the interested groups. Firstly, you have to understand the economics behind this. You have the divide between the developed and developing countries here also. So, this I have pointed in the earlier class also. So, in the developed countries, what happens is buying a refrigerator is not a big deal. So, by birth, in every child or in every family for that matter, they will be having this refrigerator or washing machine and whatnot. So, buying this is not a big deal because proportionate to their income, this particular product such as a washing machine or refrigerator or television sets are not too very costly. They can easily afford to buy that with 1 month's salary or even half of the month's salary. So, here in India or countries like that in Africa, buying a television set is 3 times a month's salary or even more than that. Therefore, holding such property in their home is a dream and also an ambition. Many families they save money, or many countries they introduce easy installment schemes to induce these kind of sales. So, buying gradually becomes easier, and there is a huge economic equilibrium that is working on this. So, I said that in the Western countries or in the developed countries, they easily buy these products such as refrigerator, washing machine, etc. And these durable goods they work for longer duration, and therefore there is no need for these people to again and again invest on such products. So, when there is no need to invest on such products, considerable amount is being saved by these people, and this amount is being taken by the government as tax. People also directly invest in share market and induce the sales or induce the production of the multinational companies. These multinational companies they establish their branches in developing countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and so on, and they try to sell their products. These products are of not high durable quality as one we see in the developed countries, but yet people want to buy that. These multinational companies, they make every attempt to expand the market and induce the buying behavior of the third world nations or the developing countries. The host country, it receives a part of tax, but a considerable amount of profit goes back to the home nation or the developed countries, and the share is being given to the people living there, and their life quality increases at the cost of the spending of the people in developing countries. So, in developed countries, when services are very costly, people are able to afford such costs. Earlier in India, we had companies such as Solidaire, Dianora, etc., providing televisions, and there is Kelvinator, which is a company that dealt with this particular refrigerators, and there are several other indigenous companies. But the influx or onslaught of these multinational companies replaced these companies which were of Indian origin, and they established their market, and they made capital goods as near about consumer goods. So, earlier when a television set is not functioning properly, people tend to repair it and reuse it, but these days they tend to avoid repairing it and afford to buy a new set. This not only adds to the e-waste that has been expanding in developing countries, but also is an expenditure at the side of the consumer and a profit at the side of the multinational company. Native governments, they think that when these people invest large quantum of money in our economy, it will boost the employment sector, and a large number of people who are unemployed but skilled will get employment. But what these multinational companies do is they manufacture their products in their homeland, and they come bring this product here and assemble it and deliver it, for which a huge company needs only 100 people who could deliver this service for cheaper wages. So the expected employment is not delivered, and also taxes are also not being received at the expected level. So many countries, they encourage their people, or the civil society in many countries, they directly contact or make establish contact with their citizen, and they try to induce the development of indigenous industries. They encourage buying their own products. Even in developed countries, they have people of other countries coming and selling their product, but they prefer to buy only the indigenously produced products. Apart from this, what happens is the products in large numbers, they occupy the markets, and they induce the flow of money. When money flows in large number or large quantity, the prices tend to increase, and if prices tend to increase, a substantial quantum of people may not be able to afford to buy these products. Therefore, consumer education tends to instigate rational thinking at the first head. It also tries to improve the functional skills and informs the rights of the consumers. So, there are three important components for consumer education. Functional skills and rights are two elements that are inseparable, in the sense that awareness of several rights leads to functional skills. These days, consumer education also focuses on e-commerce. So, e-commerce is a forum where the buyers, they come together and post their products. The expenses incurred by the retailer by developing a showroom, employing lot many persons, are not required in this portal of e-commerce. Therefore, the reduction in expenses is being shared and delivered to the consumers, and therefore the products are of cheaper quality. But what happens in our society is, particularly among the illiterate or very poorly educated people, they tend to doubt the credibility of companies that are hosting their product through e-portals such as Amazon, Flipkart and Alibaba. But again, these companies Amazon, Flipkart and Alibaba are not indigenous to our country. They are of foreign origin, and the retailers, their business is being badly damaged because of these kinds of purchases. Particularly grocery items, when they occupy e-portals, then ordinary retailers of very humble origin, they are badly affected. But if you want to buy electronic items, you can afford or you can approach these e-portals and place orders. Particularly if you want to buy cell phones, the e-portals is best. So education on this has to be made by the consumer education and its curriculum. Cell phones we are speaking here because cell phones can be bought through e-portals, but the persons who are running the retail shop, they again get business because frequently service is being done by them only, and therefore their business is also not greatly affected by buying such products through e-portals or e-commerce. It should be remembered that these days we are developing a concept throughout the world, something called ethical consumerism. Ethical consumerism is a type of consumer activism based on the concept of dollar voting. That is, it is informed to the public to practice encouraging of locally produced products, so that support be made to small scale manufacturers and local artisans, and protect animals and environment by the way, and boycott products that involve child labor and exploitation of other laborers. There is another concept known as sustainable consumer behavior, which is also evolved by academicians. Sustainable consumer behavior is the subdiscipline of consumer behavior that studies why and how consumers do or do not incorporate sustainability issues into their consumer behavior. So here I would like to remember you of what is sustainable development. So sustainable development is something like a bee taking honey from a flower. It takes honey but does not destroy the flower, and similar culture has to be followed by the consumers. One person buying too much and storing that, making it impossible for others, is not good for the society. In a stratified society like that of ours, when we buy, that means average people or people in the middle class, when we buy a particular product which are previously used by the higher class society, these people of the higher class society, they shift to some other product. So this is a kind of a sustainable development or sustainable consumer behavior. So they leave this forum for the middle class and they shift to some other higher product. So the logic here is that we are in a consumer culture. So consuming is very important for money circulation, and consumption is unavoidable in the field of economics, which determines our life. Therefore, the need for an individual to manage a budget, make informed purchases and save for the future have become paramount. This has become the economic reality since the 20th century and taking complicated position in the 21st century. To reduce this complication, we have to impart consumer education among the large sections of society which are relying on the products for the well-being of their life. Therefore, consumer education tries to develop the skill of deciding on what product to buy and what product should be avoided in a society. With this introduction, I would like to conclude my lecture on consumer education. Thank you very much.